Peace, and welcome to episode 90 of Oddly Familiar, and our third Dragon Ball special overall. Before we begin, we would like to pay respects to Akira Toriyama. Without him, there is no Dragon Ball as we know it today. May he rest in peace. Today's episode includes a few submissions from our viewers, so we want to give them a quick shout out right now. Thank you for the submissions, and we hope you enjoy the episode. Our first up today comes from Dragon Ball Z Kai. A new foe rears his head. Now let's compare that to the opening theme of Terminator Salvation. Terminator Salvation was released in 2009, and Dragon Ball Kai was also released in 2009. You can find the theme on Dragon Ball Kai Soundtrack 3 and Songs, which came out 1 year later in 2010, arranged and composed by Kenji Yamamoto. And the original soundtrack of Terminator Salvation was arranged and composed by Danny Elfman. His resume is vast. My introduction to his music was The Simpsons. I remember seeing this name all the time in the credits. We'll give it a 3 out of 5 on the Oddly scale. Next we have the Super Famicom game Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2, the theme of Cell. And here is Pink Floyd, One of These Days. This Super Famicom game was first released in late 1993. Its soundtrack was arranged and composed by Kenji Yamamoto. Needless to say, you'll be hearing his name a few more times today. The Pink Floyd song was released in 1971, so it's not even a question if it's possible. On the Oddly scale, we'll give this one a 3 out of 5. The next theme is from the same game, Super Butoden 2, the theme of Piccolo. That sounds a little bit like the Rolling Stones' Satisfaction. Satisfaction was released in 1965. 28 years before the Dragon Ball game. It went on to be quite popular, reaching #1 on weekly charts in numerous countries. So it's safe to say Yamamoto has heard the song before. On the Oddly scale, we have another 3 out of 5. It's not exact by any means, but there does seem to be some inspiration there. Our next up is from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, Soul Vaccination. And that's Tower of Power, Soul Vaccination. Budokai 2 is another game with a soundtrack by Yamamoto, and with the names being similar, you may think he was inspired again. However, if you look in the book that came with this CD, it states, music by Kenji Yamamoto except 22, 23, 24, which were written by Emilio Castillo and Steven Kupka. And then, if you look at the credits of the track itself, you will see those two names again. Those two names are original members of Tower of Power. So not only did Yamamoto get their permission on this one, he collaborated with the original artists. He should have been doing this more often. He would still have a job. The next entry comes from Dragon Ball Raging Blast 2, Weird Atmosphere. And here's the song Deify by Disturbed. Not the first time Disturbed has influenced a piece from Dragon Ball. This Disturbed song is a little heavier than the Dragon Ball theme, but it's quite close. I would like to give Yamamoto the benefit of the doubt, but after seeing the same bands again and again, it gets a little bit difficult to defend. I see a lot of comments saying he made the songs better, but that's not really the best defense. Better or worse isn't what plagiarism is about. Can you imagine them telling you that other person's theme is good, so don't worry about them? However, your theme sucks, so you're getting sued. After all is said and done, this one gets a 3, maybe a 4 out of 5 on the oddly scale. Next up is from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, the character select screen. That sounds exactly like Spyro Year of the Dragon, Frozen Altars. Now, if any of the submissions sound exactly the same, it's this one. It's not just inspiration, but this is a direct sample. A 5 out of 5 on the oddly scale. When it comes to a direct sample, how could it be anything less? Both games just happen to sample the same source, and it comes from Zero G, Chemical Beats, and it sounds like this. Next up is from Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the theme of Kami's Lookout. And that sounds a little bit like Europe, the Final Countdown. I'll give this one a 2 out of 5. It's really just a small portion of the theme, and it's not really that close. Let's just say this is not enough to fire anyone, and a lawsuit would be a waste of time. It's not similar enough to warrant going to court and having an expensive legal battle, which they probably wouldn't win anyways. Our next entry is another from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, the Exploration theme. And here's Man-Made God by In Flames. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 was released in late 2004, while In Flames released their album Colony in May of 1999. In an interesting note, they actually released it 10 days early in Japan on May 21st of 1999. The rest of the world got it on May 31st. I'm not saying releasing it 10 days early in Japan is proof Yamamoto took inspiration, but it at least shows In Flames has a following in the country he resides in. Up next is another theme from Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2, the theme of Trunks. Now let's compare that to the holdout entrance theme of wrestler Kenji Yamamoto. Known by a number of other stage names, he debuted on October 5th, 1984, and he didn't retire until almost 40 years later in 2023. Quite impressive if you ask me. This is now the third time Super Butoden has made the list today. Cell, Piccolo, and now Trunks. So we'll be going through the other character themes and listening closely. This one receives a 3 out of 5. It's not exact by any means, but it's getting more and more difficult to deny the inspirations. Our last entry today comes from Dragon Ball Z, Super Butoden, the theme of Vegeta. And that sure sounds like the end title theme to the movie Gremlins, the Gremlin Rag. From the Super Famicom, I found this one recently, but I think it's my favorite one today. There's possibly more than one inspiration because I think I have heard this somewhere else. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment and let us know. We have this one around a 4 out of 5. It sounds pretty close, although it's just the one portion. Of course, arranged and composed by Kenji Yamamoto, I know he gets a lot of hate for taking his inspirations too far, but he basically did the same thing Bobby Prince did, and everyone loves him for it. Yamamoto lost his job, and most of his music has been removed, so I'm gonna start to cut him some slack. He's paid enough. We do have enough material for a part 4, and probably even a part 5. So let us know if you want to see another Dragon Ball episode. Until then, huge shout out to everybody that submitted entries, and also our golden tier patrons Bersona, Quantum X, and MJJ. I am ICC. Thanks for watching. Peace.